Hey everyone, welcome to High Heels to Happy Feels. I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Natalie.
and we are sitting at a real crossroads. If you've felt unsettled, like your skin is itching, the air feels electrically charged, there's a reason for that. We're watching heavy things unfold in the world right now. Our hearts are out for everybody in Minnesota with the latest execution of yet another American citizen. And it is moments like that that make it really hard to stay numb, right? It's harder to
Real.
look away, harder to pretend everything is fine. And at the same time, we're in this final 48-hour countdown of one of the biggest astrological shifts in over a decade. Neptune is entering Aries on January 26th.
Mhm.
And for 14 years, we've been swimming in this Neptunian fog of Pisces. But it's um the thing is with that, it's the air has softened us, which is great, and it's taught us empathy because that's what Pisces does and compassion. But
Not
it's
enough
all
people.
no, definitely not enough
It
people.
hasn't taught
Totally.
enough people empathy because my God. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, totally. Right. Well, it's also made a lot of people spiritual passengers. And, this waiting, hoping, feeling, and not always acting on what they're doing. And we've been waiting for the universe to hand us this golden ticket or a perfectly paved road. But Nat, look at the clock. It is January 2026. The fog is lifting. The universe isn't sending a chauffeur anymore. We have just been handed the keys and told to drive.
Oh my God, that's so true. Like, and honestly, it's kind of a bit of a relief because that waiting for a sign phase has started to feel like an addiction to research. Like, if I just learn one more thing, then I'm going to be allowed to move. Last week we talked about how alignment isn't something that you wait to feel, it's a structure that you choose to live inside of. And with the sun in Aquarius right now, we're really being pushed to innovate. But that innovation kind of feels crunchy because it requires us to stop being spiritually polite,
Yes.
right?
I love crunchy.
Yeah, crunchy is a great word for it. And let's be real, being in the driver's seat is really terrifying for a lot of people right now. We have become spiritual passengers, waiting for that sign, a nudge, or a perfectly paved road before we dare to move. When we talked about that last week, we want to see, once we pick our direction, we want to see the path just unfold for us.
Hmm.
But what I'm noticing is that the waiting doesn't feel calm anymore. It feels tight, like your heart races, your chest gets shallow, your nervous system knows something is being delayed, and people are tired of vague promises and that fog you were talking about. They want results that they can actually feel in their body. And I think that makes a huge difference. Like, meditating for your vision, like your vision of things. I'm going to meditate on that. Or having that warrior spirit to take the breath, feel your heart pounding, and step forward anyway without knowing how it's going to turn out. That's the difference to me.
Oh yeah. And you've nailed it, right? Because this is the heart of the Neptune Aries era. It's asking us, I mean, this is the birth of that warrior spirituality. And I love
Mm.
warrior. Excuse me. For over that decade, 14 years, Neptune's been moving through Pisces, its home sign. That Pisces compassion, it's saying, I feel pain with you. I feel your pain. It's empathy, it's oneness, it's the understanding that there is no real separation between me and you. We've all been swimming in that same emotional ocean, most people.
Especially except for the sociopaths and narcissists, but
Right.
that's another day.
Psychopaths, you know,
Right. There are people that are immune to Neptune and Pisces.
right? We have a list. They're on TV a lot right now.
Right.
Just saying. Here's the truth though. Most people don't want to say it out loud. That compassion has left us often disembodied. And we felt everything, but we didn't change everything. We didn't change anything, really. We
Right.
dissolved into the suffering instead of intervening. We escaped off into dreamland. Our faces in our phones, the endless scrolling, both doom and just comparing ourselves, as we've talked about, the spiritual bypassing, microdosing our way around responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
That's a huge one right now, right? Pretending it's still business as usual while the world has been burning quietly around us in the background. Pisces compassion feels very deeply, but it doesn't always move. And now that era is coming to a halt, and Neptune's preparing to enter into Aries. Compassion's no longer about feeling, it is about acting. The question is no longer, how do I feel about this? How do we feel about this? The question is, what are you going to do? What are
Yep.
we, right? What are we going to do? And this is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable because Aries is fire. And yes, Neptune glamorizes whichever sign it touches. It's dreamy, it's mystical, right? It's supposed to. So at first, this transit can glorify the anger and toughness, that brute force, and that might makes right mentality.
Hmm.
That's the lower. That is so the lower octave. That is like loser scenario. The higher octave, the one we're being asked into, that's Aries compassion. And Aries compassion, which even as I say loser, I should take that back because I'm acting like it, right? I'm
Well, we're
doing
very angry today. That's,
very, I'm mad about the news. But that compassion is saying I will act so this changes. And this is the sacred warrior energy. It's not the one who dominates. It's not the one who performs rage. It's the one who intervenes,
oh yeah, I like that.
right? It's the one who sees that suffering and says, no, this stops here. Real power, real power is not about putting people down. Real power is about lifting people up and being willing to stand in the fire long enough to make that real. And here's where it's going to get personal.
Absolutely. And that is so poignant for today. And I'm so glad that you said it out loud because people are starting to come out of their homes. We're starting to see people show up for others, not in a brutal way, not in a might makes right, like you were saying.
Hmm. Using their
Well,
voices,
yeah,
right?
some are doing the might makes right thing, which history is going to judge those folks. But there's a lot of people showing up and just showing out, and yeah, that just yeah. Like, okay, if you want to look at this though through like the four soul pillars, you can feel exactly where the shift is happening. Because on the mind level, the old Pisces pattern was the passenger seat. One more book, one more certification, one more workshop, and my God, do we know that?
Every day.
All
Just finished
right.
another.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not ready yet. And all of the services that we now offer, like the astrology stuff that you now have taken and put yourself in the driver's seat of that, and that's just happened recently. Like this is the real energy that's happening right now.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And we're no longer, you and I personally are kind of like, we don't need that information anymore. We're putting ourselves in the driver's seat. But that's because that's the energy that is being supported. And with Mars and Pluto meeting in Aquarius, that story of sitting in the passenger seat, that's just done. That version of you that needed permission, that's dead now. And on
Yeah.
the heart level, we're moving out of that shared suffering and into that active compassion that you were talking about.
I
It's
love it.
about, honoring your desire, not spiritualizing it away, not minimizing it, not waiting for external validation or some imaginary moment of perfection. Because, folks, we all know that just doesn't happen.
Nope.
Yeah,
Doesn't
it
exist.
just doesn't.
We talked about this last week till we were like
Mhm.
blue in the face, but it doesn't work that way.
No, it really doesn't. And you need to ask yourself honestly, what does your heart want that you keep calling too much, or that you're not spiritual enough, or like, where are you discounting yourself? Because
Oh,
you have to learn your
that's
desires aren't unspiritual. They are your fuel. They are your signal. They are your assignment. And now the cosmos is saying the same things to you. Everything that Steph was just talking through. It is no longer enough to feel for the world. It is no longer enough to hold space. It is no longer enough to just understand the pain.
Oh my God, that's so good. And especially now,
Mhm.
right? Mars is freshly in Aquarius just last week, and we're moving right towards Pluto. They're going to conjunct in Aquarius, and that energy is going to demand movement. Neptune in Aries is embodiment. It's compassion with muscle. It's spirituality that gets its hands dirty. It's leadership that prevents the battlefield from existing in the first place. Hey, wouldn't that be great?
Right?
God, there's a story that perfectly captures this shift. It's a general who realizes too late, Nobody wins a war. I mean, just let that sit. Nobody wins at war. You just,
Oh, yeah.
I, I mean, it's said over and over and over again in all the history books by great generals, by great thinkers. There's an appearance of winning a war, but who won? With all the lives lost, with all the sacrifice, with all the money, the resources, all this, who won? And Pisces is that post-death realization. Aries is coming back into the body and saying, we aren't doing it that way again. That's the moment we're in. So if you're feeling restless and activated, impatient, or like something inside you refuses to stay quiet anymore, that's not a problem. That's the warrior spirit in you waking up. Welcome to your warrior spirit. And it's time to move the needle.
Yeah, no doubt. That is exactly where we're at, and that's really powerful. And let's not forget that the body and spirit pillars too. Let's talk about those two in this pivot because that Saturn Uranus sextile that we just hit on January 19th, for a lot of folks, that kind of triggered that scarcity programming in our physical bodies. And it's that physical urge to shrink back and play it safe. And the teaching moment here is learning to distinguish between your nervous system discomfort and true misalignment. Because friction doesn't always mean wrong. It often means that we're growing through stuff. There's things happening, the friction of growth. We're moving from one place to another. And it can feel like your heart is racing or your body just feels loud or everything in you just wants that certainty. And at the same time, your soul is saying, finally, you have to learn to hold that tension. And then the spirit pillar is telling us to trust those unexplained encounters and those nudges that are valid commands for action, not just suggestions. Which strange, we're on January 25th, we have that first quarter moon in Taurus.
Yep.
Taurus is going to be a really great anchor for this, right?
Yeah, of course. It really is.
Yeah, because while Aries is the fire that wants us to burn everything down and start fresh, the Taurus moon is going to remind us to ground that fire because we aren't here to just burn. We're here to build the hearth around that burning. So, trusting your intuition is a skill that we're going to have to practice, not just a message where we're going to, sit back and wait to receive it.
So true. And we talked about that a lot last week, right? That automatic, well, I just don't see it, so it must not be kind of it's all comes together and it's all just part of this energy. So let's just do a quick little Neptune and Aries exercise, right? Kind of a threshold check for everybody who's listening, or if you want to listen to the recording. Um, I want you to identify a dream that you've been cradling in your imagination for years. I mean, this could be one of those, oh, someday dreams, something that, oh, I'm not ready yet dreams. Because Neptune's moving into Aries on the 26th. I want to ask you, what is the one bold, slightly edgy action you would take right now if you stopped waiting for the universe to give you that permission?
Oh, that's kind of a tough thing. Um, I have a lot of things recently this week that I've been kind of just letting go because I have been really pushing too hard and just understanding the energy that we're in. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I think I could move on. I don't, that's a hard. What about you?
Part of it's in process now. Um, because I'm finally getting to a place where I mean, and this, right, with conversations that we have in our personal lives, but I am in a place where I've kind of taken control of a situation. And it is part of that dream getting ready to play out. That's so scary because it's all of those things about why, I really shouldn't, or, someday I can do that, or someday there'll be enough of this, someday there'll be enough of that. And now I'm just like, yep, the water's cold. We're going in. And
That's a good way to put it. Like, oh my God, this is scary. I don't know what's going to be in that pond, but here
right.
you
And it's
go.
ice cold water. It's not nice, warm bath water. This doesn't feel great.
Right.
But at the same time, it feels exhilarating. It feels eye-opening. It feels empowering. And
Yeah.
it's still got a ways to unfold. But I think for me, yeah, ask me again in another quarter.
Right. Yeah. And but allowing those things to change. And I think when we were at the top, we were talking about, holding your breath and just jumping in. This is not the piece where you can put your toes in the water and test it out anymore.
No, no, because the truth of 2026 is that perfect path that we talked about last week is a trap. That is a total trap. Your path doesn't become clear just because it's perfect. It becomes clear because you're finally walking it. And I have finally walked into that water, right? It's not a toe dip any longer. And we are encouraging everybody, quit dipping your toes, quit skimming the surface, get in.
Yeah, and that's the death of the passenger right there.
Oh
You
yeah.
realize the car is moving, whether you're going to be behind the wheel or whether you're in the trunk. So you may as well grab the wheel.
Hit.
And
That's so good.
this reminds me of a quote from Mark Twain. The secret to getting ahead is to getting started.
Oh yeah.
So try to remember to incorporate that.
The
All
secret
right.
to getting ahead is getting started.
Yeah, it's Mark Twain quote.
I love that though, because it's so true. And Aries, it's perfect for Aries because Aries is all about the start, 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 and maybe not always completion. So it's how are you going to bring all of that in together? How are you bringing your dreams into a reality and starting, right? Go.
Well, and for those of you who are like, that was just a synchronicity because that's my card of the day. I have cards of the day that I flip every day, and it was actually the quote that came up this morning when we were getting ready to do our podcast. And I looked at it and I was
It
like,
was.
isn't that strange?
Yeah, of
Not
course it was. Yeah.
yeah, of course. Like this coming week, we have the full moon heading into Leo on the 31st, and we're all just being asked to show up with the part of us that it's just refusing to stay hidden anymore and actually having the courage to show up with it and show out. No more hiding behind the fog. No more, I'm going to act when it feels safer, like we've talked about. No more dipping your toes in the cold water. Just jump in and, that's the exhilarating part of being alive is we can just jump in.
Hmm.
It's the moment where your heart pounds and your breath catches and you choose yourself anyway. Because the warrior doesn't wait for safety. The warrior creates the container where the safety can exist. And your path isn't becoming clear because it's perfect. It's going to become clear because we are finally the ones behind the wheel and we've just been handed the keys. So let's drive.
Yeah. Driving on the path. But before we close, because I think that's really a good place to wrap this all up. We want to make this practical because this isn't just about, hey, we're going to drop some inspiration and some golden nuggets on you and then no support.
Yeah. So if this episode stirred something in you, if you felt tightening in your chest or that quiet yes in your body, we've created free tools to help you work through this moment through the four soul pillars we talked about. It's nothing to buy, nothing to sign up for beyond access, just support for the movement.
Yep. And they're amazing. So it's the mind pillar tool, right? Helps you break the loop of overthinking and get out of that passenger seat. The heart pillar tool to help clarify what you actually want without minimizing or spiritualizing it away. Our body pillar tool to help you work with your nervous system discomfort instead of mistaking it for misalignment. And then our spirit pillar tool, which helps you practice trusting your intuition as something you respond to, not something you wait for. And there's a whole kit of all these tools that's amazing that goes with it.
Yeah, and they really are amazing. You should really check them out because they're not some this isn't about becoming somebody new. It's about supporting the version of you that's already waking up. And
Mhm.
you don't have to do all four and you don't have to do them perfectly. There is no perfect answer. But choose one place that you want to move.
Yes. And you'll find the four soul pillar tools that are I we were just talking about. They're linked in the show notes. It's immersivespirit.com/soul pillars. SOULPILLARS. So wherever you listen to your podcast, you can grab that in those notes. But start where you feel that most resistance, right? Because that's usually where your energy is.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the era of waiting is over. We are moving out of the passenger seat, and you don't need permission. You already have the keys. So break the loop of thinking and get out of the passenger seat. The heart pillar tool, clarify what you actually want. Body pillar, help you work with your nervous system, spirit. Like it is all there for you.
It's amazing. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Share us with your friends, your family, your coworkers, all the other people that are wonderfully amazing and awesome, full of energy like we are. Just share, share, share.
Yep, we have enjoyed having you this week.
Yeah.
So I'm Natalie,
I'm Stephanie.
and we'll see you next week.